If you're in a career transition right now, maybe you quit your job because you weren't happy, or maybe you got laid off and you feel like you should have clarity by now, like what you want to do next, where you want to go, or what the plan is, this video is for you. I want to talk about why forcing clarity during periods of transition may seem like a good idea, but it often backfires, even for super smart, capable people. Transitions trigger urgency. You might be thinking to yourself, I need to figure this out right now, or I need to get my next job before the money runs out. And that brings up another good point. External pressures are never ending as well. Maybe you have a family to think of, or you're worried about what your LinkedIn profile will look like with the gap. Or maybe you are worried about money, which is a very valid and legitimate fear. But I actually think the most difficult pressure comes from an internal place. You question your identity, your competence, and maybe even your self-worth. Most people aren't rushing to find a solution because they're excited. They're rushing because they're scared, and the uncertainty they're dealing with feels really unsafe. See, when you've experienced a disruptor like a job loss and your nervous system is dysregulated, it starts to narrow your thinking. So it's actually the opposite of what you want. That nervous system dysregulation or fight or flight response, it's seeking certainty, not alignment. You start to make decisions from fear and try to optimize for short-term relief rather than long-term fulfillment. This is a pattern I often see in my own clients. There's a tendency when they experience a job loss to want to just go get any kind of job. And that's okay in certain situations. If you are struggling with money, yes, you need to get a job. I'm not telling you to, put that on hold to discover what your dreams are or anything like that. However, even when you are in a place where you need money, there is an opportunity here to calm your nervous system down and seek a little bit of space so you can make an informed decision. I'll even just give you a personal example. I'm also very guilty of when something came in to disrupt me, a job loss, I got laid off. My thinking got so narrowed, but it was from an ego standpoint. In this particular layoff, what happened was I was making a certain amount of money and my ego got bruised that I was not going to be making that kind of money anymore. And the job market had changed a little bit. And so for my type of role, they weren't paying nearly as much as they had been paying previously when I got the previous job. So as I started looking for a new job, a couple of options came up. I ended up taking the one that paid a lot more. But I've got to tell you, right when I walked into the final interview in person, I knew that that one wasn't going to be a fit for me. I just knew it wasn't going to be a fit. And I still took it because I had narrowed my focus so much on getting a specific salary because I didn't want my ego to be bruised, that I went ahead and took it. And a year and a half later, I was super unhappy. I was burnt out and I ended up quitting that job. So you've got to remember when your nervous system is activated like that, your brain isn't consciously choosing something, it's trying to escape something else. So in my particular case, I was trying to escape that feeling of my ego being bruised instead of choosing the option that was really right for me in that moment. And the problem isn't really that you don't have clarity. It's more that your system is under pressure, and that's completely understandable. But clarity is something that needs space to emerge, and safety is a prerequisite for that. Slowing things down isn't falling behind. You're trying to create space for yourself to allow the best next step for you to emerge. So rather than allowing this dysregulation to take over, you can change the way you talk to yourself. So for example, you might switch from saying something like, what should I do next, to what helps me feel safe enough to think clearly. It's just about reframing that question in your mind. Focus on stabilizing yourself before thinking strategy. Some anchors of safety for you might feel like an exercise routine, or maybe going and seeing a therapist, or working with a coach, or maybe even just doing a new breathing technique. All of these can help bring your body back into a regulated state and kind of give you that pause you need to really start thinking clearly again. And remember, I'm not advising you to do nothing here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying sit on the couch and be lazy or anything like that. Although maybe that is what you need for a couple of days. What I'm really saying is a lot of times in these situations, action is the next best thing to do. But really, you're trying to give yourself the space to figure out what that next best action actually is. And when you're reflecting on maybe what the next best action is, or maybe a routine that is stabilizing you or bringing you back into safety, now it's a good time to notice where you're pushing yourself for certainty. And notice what happens for you when you let yourself maybe not know what the next step is. Just for a minute, how does that make you feel? I know for me, when people ask me questions like this, I have coaches, I have therapists. When they ask me questions like this, I start to be like, obviously, the answer is I feel uncomfortable. I am scared. All of those different feelings start coming up. But really, it's about bringing awareness to all of those feelings. And the moment you name those feelings and you almost like speak them out loud, they start to lose their power over you. Then that opens up the space for you to think a little more clearly. If you're currently going through a transitionary period in your career and you're feeling the pressure to figure it all out right now, you don't have to do it alone. I offer free clarity calls where we can slow things down and take a look at what would actually support you. The link is below in the description. In the meantime, take care and be easy on yourself. I'll see you in the next video.